So some easy to fix stuff which cost you like not even 100 baht, and you could really improve the reliability and the safety. So I want to walk through that. So I changed the camera to the other side and show you in the first step what you would need to mount this battery pack. So here we are. So this is the Hailong Batteriepack. It's very common used, and it comes with a mounting plate, and usually they have a version of this battery pack with a built-in controller underneath. That leaves some problems with the mounting itself. As you can see, there's normally no way to mount down here. The hole you just saw is the hole I drilled. So if you want to have like minimum 3 mounting points for the battery pack, you need to improve that. I choose this hole here because it's the one original holes from the bottle. Second thing is I figured that countersunk screws work the best. All the others will not be under this surface and will scratch under the battery. As you can see here, made that in the very beginning until I figured that out. So best is to use countersunk screws. They go deeper, therefore you don't scratch your bottom side of the battery. So the tool for making the mounts is the easiest way I prefer is a nutsert. For nutsert you need a tool, and the first tool I bought was from Lazada, somewhere in China, ordered, and I used it. At first glance it looks great, but this metal bends, so it is not very useful. I worked with it, but it was a pain in the ass. Even it looks good, but it doesn't work properly. Just keep this for memorandum. And when I went last time to Germany, I bought the nutsert tool. It's from the company S&R. You can see it here. And I must say this is no comparison. It works just fine, and I have perfect results with it regarding the depth of the nutsert, and really good. It comes with a user manual and it's pretty simple, and I believe it's not even that expensive. It's an expensive tool, but not that expensive. So because we need to drill the holes for the nutserts in the frame, you have a very restricted place. So the next tool you want to have something like that, or comparable, that you can just put in your drilling machine and go into the frame, which sits mostly like here, which you couldn't reach with a drill attached to it. And usually I use the 5mm drift nuts. They work with a 7mm drill, and as you can see, here are my 7mm drills, and cut this one shorter, so it doesn't take so much space up here As you can see, you still will not be totally straight, but it is as good as it gets. So that's it. That you should be very good. So I nearly forgot, I will not document the mounting of the battery pack here, just improvements. If you like to see something about the mounting of them, just check out the build videos from the Twinks and from the Aqua Delta. Yeah, and want to show you some improvements I like to make on my battery packs, and they grow over the time, and at the final stage it's more about waterproofing. When you follow my videos, you will see that usually I start by adding 3 mounting points for the battery, because I think that 2 points are not enough to support the weight. And yeah, so my first improvement was that this is the Hailong Batteriepack as it comes from the factory. And the first thing you will observe is that there's a groove for a rubber grommet and a cable relief for the cable, but they are not installed. So this was like my first stage of upgrade. So I added usually a rubber grommet, which are in the right size, not good to find. And the second thing is usually they're attached to a XT connector, so it would be hard to fit it over. Come to that later. And yeah, later in the progress, because I drive my bike every day and sometimes it's not sunny, it's rainy, and at first I didn't notice it, but when you slip the plastic case over the aluminium, see, like that, and you turn it around, put it in the light, there you can see what I'm talking about. So this is the undercarriage of the battery pack, and as it is down tube mounted, you know that the splash water from the front wheel, independent if you have a mudguard or not, will splash against the battery pack. So this is not good, because if water splash in here, it maybe cause a short between the terminals. And second thing is what I figured out after a while. So this is the first battery pack I ever mounted. I want to show it. As you can see, there is water coming inside this aluminium case, and you can see even the water line. So this water line is because I have a side stand, so if the bike is tilted, the water will collect here. The other water line is here, and to prevent that, I drill a 2 mil or 3 mil hole down in the lowest point. I will add the second one here, so if the bike is on the side stand, the water still can drain. As you can see on the back side, I drilled downwards, so the water will not move in, and yeah, I think this is a good solution. And yeah, for this construct, as you know, if you put a mounting hole here, you have to mount the aluminium bracket first, so it's not one unit anymore. That makes it difficult to put something in the gap I showed you. And I came up with a very nice idea. So I have some old tube here, which I cut open, Then I trace a line from here to here. Then I cut it out with a scissor. And the trick is that I use super glue for gluing this area until here. This one I don't glue, so it will be like a flap at the end, which is good for throughout the water which splashes against the bracket to the downside. And the good thing is, if you leave it open at the bottom, if water drains comes inside, it will still be able to go out of the bracket without causing a short, because if you imagine there's coming water in, the down tube is mounted like that, so the water will sit directly at the connector, and if you leave the bottom open a little bit so that the water can drain, it will not cause a short. Now, after I cut it out roughly, I went ahead and used the alcohol to clean the surface so that the glue has a better possibility to stick. So yeah, I usually start here with gluing because it has the biggest surface area, and that gives me first the possibility to stretch it a little bit. If I would start gluing here, as you can see, if I would pull it, it may come off. So I mark the position from this line onto the rubber, and yeah, then I glue this one first. As I told you, this will not be glued, this will be like an open flap. So I glue from here to this line. So as you can see, I glued the tube rubber on. Now I just check. As you can see, it slips right under. Just have to make sure I have enough clearance later when I mount it, that it can slip under it. Yeah, and that will seal most of the water which comes in, but still allow to drain the water which goes under the bracket. So this is open. Yeah, that's nice. So the next step, I will go ahead and drill the two holes for draining the water which may come in here. We'll drill one here and one here for the side stand. If your bike sits on a central stand, maybe you don't need the second hole. So the draining holes are in. As you can see, if it's tilted to the side it can drain, if it's straight it can drain. This will normally don't happen because the bike will always move, so the water can clearly go out. My third mounting hole. Yeah, so for mounting holes and water improvement, I think we are done. Now it comes to the cable relief and the grommet. So I have a grommet here, but if you don't have a grommet like that, just in your toolbox, or the hole is too big in the middle, I suggest you just cut a slim slice out of this, as you can see here. Then you wrap it around until it fits nicely into that hole, and just wrap it with some insulation tape. For the cable relief itself, let me see where it is. Oh yeah, it's here. I just used a thin sheet of aluminium and cut it so that it fits nicely. Wait, I remove it, that it fits nicely. over here, and of course I deburred it so it can't cut the wire. Yeah, it should be fine to go in. Oh, this I consider done. I put enough insulation tape so there's really no way that the aluminium cuts into the cable. And yeah, I must say, just take care that the screws are not over the line from the casing, otherwise it will maybe break the plastic. And yeah, you should be more or less good to go. So I go ahead, mount this part first on the bicycle, then I slip this one over, and where the screws goes I just make a little slit in the rear with the extractor knife so that the screw can go through, but there is not a big hole. And you should remember, this is not for diving, this is just a splash protection so that the water from the front wheel doesn't go inside and that it still can go out if it goes inside. So if the water finds a way in and a way out, it's no problem. If it finds a way in and no way out, maybe you have issues. So I go ahead, yeah, and install it. So here we see the battery pack, the mount installed. As you can see, it's the rubber and it flaps nicely, so the water still can come out. It looks nice and tidy. Yeah. So this is it. This is how the battery pack looks when it's mounted. Really happy how it came out. Took care when I make the holes that you have enough clearance at the back and at the top so that you can remove the battery very easy. Just remove the battery and then we look under it. That's how it should look. See, there's no gap anymore. Screws are nicely in. You can see that they don't hit the surface. Should make sure that the battery pack goes smoothly in and out like that. You can see that very easy when the hole from the lock shows. And last tip for today is, if you have this battery pack, always lock it, because the lock itself hopefully hold the battery pack in this direction on the slide, so if you hit a bump the battery doesn't come off. Hope you enjoyed this little video, you liked the improvements, and if you have some ideas by your own, feel free to share them in the comments. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, see you next time.